So the Dream for All program is a California specific program right now, and it's a shared appreciation loan. What a shared appreciation loan does is it's an agency or a group of investors that would provide you as a first-time home buyer. I'll explain what that means in a second. First-time home buyer with 20% down, and then you would go get a loan with a lender like myself for the 80% down. Okay? You don't have to take the full 20% down, so you can take 5, you can take 10, you can take 20. And what's nice is you can use that 20% down of whatever the purchase price is to cover closing costs as well. So
this is April. We're going to be going over the housing market update here for the Central Coast of California and northern Santa Barbara County. Got Mike here with us. Mike, how's it going?
going great. Happy spring, everyone.
Happy spring. You're going to be sharing some important information about the Dream for All, and that's getting a lot of hype, so we're going to talk about that.
Right.
And I'll be sharing some of my details as a listing broker and buyer's broker here, helping out clients here on the Central Coast and give you some tips on what you can be doing to prepare for your next move in home ownership, whether or not you're selling your property and finding a replacement property, or if you're just looking for your first home. So let's go ahead and jump into it right away. Mike, talk to me about this Dream for All kind of loan program, and is it a program that I can use if I already own a home and I'm thinking about selling and buying a new one? Talk to me about it. What's going on?
Great. Yeah, great. So thank you, Josh. Okay, viewers, so the Dream for All program is a California-specific program right now, and it's a shared appreciation loan. What a shared appreciation loan does is it's an agency or a group of investors that would provide you as a first-time home buyer. I'll explain what that means in a second. First-time home buyer with 20% down, and then you would go get a loan with a lender like myself for the 80% down. Okay? You don't have to take the full 20% down, so you can take 5, you can take 10, you can take 20. And what's nice is you can use that 20% down of whatever the purchase price is to cover closing costs as well. So as you think about this, it's really a way for the individual who has not owned a home for the last 36 months. That's a first-time home buyer. If you have not been on a deed, or you got transferred off a deed, maybe because you and your family were on a property, or you and potentially an ex-spouse were on a property, or you owned one and you sold it more than 36 months ago, you qualify for this program. Obviously, if you've never owned a house, there's no ambiguity there, right? You are a first-time homeowner. But this shared appreciation loan is really neat because it gives you an opportunity to have the 20% down with no MI, and it's a shared appreciation loan which is in silent second position. Now this is important. Silent second means it's on your title, it's obvious that you were given funds at the close of your purchase, but you don't owe a payment, and there's no accruing interest on this loan. Wow, right? Pretty amazing. So I'll leave it there, Josh. I know you probably have a couple other little questions for me, but I think that's a great way to open up this introduction. It is a very unique, honestly never before offered program for first-time home buyers, and there's a bunch of little nuances, so let's kind of get into those.
Yeah, so it sounds like there's a lot of opportunity. Talk to me a little bit about the limitations of the program.
Yes, great. I'm glad you asked that because, as a banker, we're always trying to bring out the bad side of things as well, right? So I wouldn't call it terrible, but I would say these are things you need to be conscious of. Nothing is free, right? So this opportunity that gets a first-time home buyer into the housing market at a more affordable monthly payment is a partnership, okay? Whenever you go to sell this home or refinance this home or pay off the loan in the future, you have to actually calculate what the appreciation is on the property from day one when you owned it to the day you do that event or activity. So transfer yourself off the title, or sell the property to a new buyer, or do a cash out refinance. You would have to look and say, okay, if the house went up $100,000 in value from the day that I bought it, I need to repay the partnership or the shared appreciation loan amount plus 20% of this appreciation, this gain, this money made off of owning real estate. So you'd owe the principal amount you got at closing, and in this example of $100,000, you owe $20,000 to the investor. So that's a limitation. Another limitation is it's a conventional loan. So you have to have a FICO score that's usually 680 or above. I've seen some lenders being willing to go down to 660 if there's redeeming or like qualities, like maybe you have higher income, or maybe you have some reserves. But I think it's important that this is a conventional loan. A lot of times when people see Cal HFA, they think they could qualify with lower credit, like an FHA loan, and that's not the case. Another limitation is that you cannot qualify with a non-occupant co-borrower. Many of our first-time home buyers have mom, dad, sister, aunt, uncle come on the loan with them to help them qualify for a price that qualify for a home price that they want to purchase. You can't do that for this. It can only be those living in the house that qualify. I think the other main limitation too is this is for a single family residence or a condo or a 1-unit property. You can't be going in and buying a 4-unit property with this type of loan program. So I know a lot of our younger people are thinking multifamily is a great way to start because you get some other tenants paying your liabilities. Sure. Plus, you don't have to live in this house forever, right? It could be like your first investment. Really think about this here, right? We've got a government shared appreciation loan. They want the average household with 2 kids, a golden retriever, to get a picket fence and live in a nice home and kind of make this more affordable for the average household.
So just for clarification, it's not going to apply for a duplex or something like that.
That is correct. The language we have right now in the program's very new, Josh. It only hit the market on March 27th, and man, it is popular. But it is not, those units, duplexes, triplexes, more than one, are not eligible right now. And I don't really see them being eligible because there's already so much hype just for the average household.
Right.
I think that would increase hype if we got to like 2 units and 3 units and so on.
And from what you mentioned before, it doesn't sound like it sounds like this has limited funds, so it's not going to be, available forever. It's going to be available until the funds run out, potentially, right?
Yeah, that's my biggest concern, viewers, with this type of program is that it is so popular. California is so much a state where real estate is debated about and argued about, at your barbecues or with your friends, right, that it's just not affordable. This program, these shared appreciation loans, they're not like, government's not printing money. These are individual private investor groups that go through an agency and get structured to lend the money out for these programs. A, they may not be excited to do it as much as they have the first year just to see how it goes. And B, the funds, when they run out, they're out for the rest of the year usually. So we've already heard some whispering that it could be out before the end of the summer. And so it's really an opportunity to now do your research, contact myself. We can talk more about this program. One other thing I said earlier, and I wanted to make sure I bring up, there's 2 levels, or excuse me, I didn't say earlier, but I want to bring up, there's 2 levels of income qualifying here, okay, which is actually pretty neat. If you are qualifying for the aggregate monthly income that is determined in your county, the 80% AMI income qualification, if you make that amount of income or lower, you still get the 20% shared appreciation at the point of purchase, but you only have to pay back the investor 15%. So you're only really responsible for 75% of what you benefit from. Every county has different AMIs, so please look up your county. If you're not sure how to do that, email Josh and I can get you the link. It's super easy. Above the 80% AMI, each county has a maximum income limit that your household can show, and if you make more than that, you can't qualify for the loan. In San Luis Obispo County, it's a joint or collective income of $216,000, so it's not very low. But I will say this. These are the things that you kind of need to get familiar with before you just say, oh my gosh, we're doing this loan and we're moving forward and we're going to go look at a house. Because there are always, when you have an affordability type loan, they've got to make it available for the demographic they're targeting, which is specifically people that are first-time home buyers that may not have the savings or down payment to do these, to buy a house. Any other questions for me?
Well, I think you hit on that one as far as investment. And I think the last question here was, is there a certain point when the homeowner needs to repay the funds to this investment group? Or did you already answer that?
I kind of went over it loosely, but let me just say it again, because I think this one's really important. So you can buy a house today with there's no crazy interest rate with this loan either. It's actually competitive. So there's no now that we've given you all of our stuff, we find out that the interest rate's so high, so why would anyone do this? No, it's actually a very competitive 30-year fixed mortgage. You can do one refinance, one time only, as long as you don't take cash out. So as these rates come back down over the next, let's call it 18 to 24 months or 18 to 36 months, you can do a refinance. You don't have to pay back the shared appreciation loan if you do just a rate and term and don't take equity out of the property. If you go to sell the property, you must do it. If you could have this loan for 30 years, Josh, and never pay off the shared appreciation until you actually pay off the first loan, the 80% loan that you took out at purchase. And here's the last best part. This actually, I think, was very fair. They being those who have the shared appreciation loan, the investors that are helping you with the 20%, they cap the amount that they can get from you at 2.5% of what they actually gave you. Excuse me, 250% of what they actually gave you. So if they gave you $100,000 and you keep this house for 30 years and it's, who knows, but then it'll be like, what, $6 million, Josh? They only get $250,000 from you plus their principal. So in that regards, it's nice that you don't have this forever partner that's getting all the appreciation of real estate, because as we know, it's a great long-term hold asset. So right about the, 7 to 11 year mark, depending on which market you're in, they're no longer making appreciation and you still have that loan in position. And remember, you can do one refinance. So if you find yourself in a position to get a nice lower 30-year fix, do it one time and you can keep this shared appreciation on the loan until you pay off the loan. So there's no call date where you've got to be like, oh man, this is the year where we have to find a way to pay back the principal plus all the appreciation the partner made. I guess we're going to have to sell. That doesn't happen in this loan program.
Well, right on. Thank you for taking the time. That was helpful for me too to get some of those questions answered. And I would just say that anybody who's watching who has more questions, just reach out to yourself, Mike, and just get those questions answered to see if they're qualified. Anything else, or do you want to? We can hop on over to what I have to talk about as far as sales and some of the numbers that we're seeing.
I think that there's only a few lenders. There's actually, I don't know if it's 5 or 6, but there's only a few lenders that are offering this program. So not every mortgage loan officer has a relationship with those lenders. At Central Coast Lending, we have a relationship with 4 of those lenders. So it's important to really have a full discussion. And honestly, the program requires you to sit through a course so that you get a certificate before you go in and do this application, right? Because not every salesperson is going to give you the details up front and talk about the good, the bad, and the ugly. They want you to go through a course. Once you have a certificate number that you went through a course, you can then formally have an application.
Got it. Okay. That's good to know. Well, I'm going to hop on over here to what I've been seeing, helping clients out and give some perspective for anybody who's a prospective property seller or home buyer or investor. I'm going to keep this short because we took some time to really dig into that Dream for All program, which I think is important. And so real quick, let's talk about it. So right now, the median sales price for the county is $813,000, and that's up from February of $750,000. Of course, we're going to see those fluctuations month over month, and I just want to point that in comparison to what we saw back in May of 2022, which was really the height. What we saw for the median sales price of $869,000. So there has been a retreat from that high back in May. Right around the $800,000 is where we're hanging out at, which is what we'd expect with the interest rates where they're at. I know we've seen some of the interest rates decrease a little bit, which has helped out a lot of borrowers, but we're still relatively high as compared to May of last year. With that being said, new listings are quite low, comparatively speaking. I think that's due to a couple factors. One of them, just the weather. I think a lot of sellers that I have been prepping for listing have just said, "Hey, Josh, we want to wait until the weather is clear and we've got that springtime sunny weather," which is a great idea. If we can wait a couple weeks to really showcase your property, it's a smart move, and I think that it's a recommendation I make. When we're all rainy and whatnot, it's definitely more difficult to show property. So that's one factor. Another factor I think is due to the fact that a lot of people who locked in their rate last year refinanced aren't as motivated to sell their property, or maybe they're waiting for the rates to drop a little bit, or seeing if they're going to drop a little bit, to go into a replacement property. So those are just some factors that I've experienced, talking to my clients, and just overall what's happening in the economy. New listings, 222 of March 2023. In just comparison, last year, same time, 366. And then 2 years ago in 2021, 451. So half of the new listings being brought to the market here in March of 2023 as were brought to the market 2 years ago. So just some comparison there. Days on market with that low inventory and still relatively high demand here on the Central Coast, being a high demand area, and demand coming from other metro areas like Northern California, San Jose area, San Francisco area, and Southern California. We're seeing a lot of people sell their homes and move to this area either to retire or maybe they can work from home. So we are seeing still that demand. 14 days on market here for March. Last month or back in January, a couple months ago, it was 30. So we're quite a bit lower than we were a couple months ago. But to compare that, back in March of 2022, which was the low, we're at 6 days on market, before reaching an agreed contract. So that really gives us an indication of the level of demand, supply and demand. Lower days on market, indicates that it's a bit more of a seller's market, and then as we get those higher days on market, more of a buyer's market. So we're still in that seller's market space, but 14 days is a bit more normalized than we would see last year. So that's just some comparison to compare against. I want to talk about one other one, median percent of list price received. This is the last list price, so it could be that there are some price reductions, which we have seen price reductions, overall, definitely more than we saw last year or a few months ago. But we're at 100% of the last list price received. So if you are a seller or if you are a buyer, I think it's a really important percentage to keep in mind when making offers or when pricing your property to sell. you're going to receive just about what you are asking if you're a seller, and if you're a buyer, on the median, you're going to need to bring a strong offer to the table. Percent of the original list price is at 98.7. So what I would say for sellers, price accordingly, taking into account the low inventory, taking into account the interest rates as well. That has decreased some buyer demand, and just go through the proper process. It's like I've said before on these, it's not what it was last year where you can just take a couple cell phone pictures and you're going to get 20 offers, in the first week. This is we're becoming more normalized. So go through that process of decluttering, of organizing, making sure we get professional pictures, make sure we go through that process of getting a staging consult, and we partner with our stager here when we take on a listing. If you're working with a different agency, make sure you're taking that proper process to bring your property to the market so you can get to as close or potentially higher of that list price. And so that's what I've been communicating to my sellers, is just go through that proper process, like we've talked about before, to make sure that we get your property in the best light possible when it does reach the market, so they get the best possible reaction. Because as we see, buyers are a little bit more picky, especially since the interest rates are a bit higher than they were last year. So we want to make sure that we're presenting at a proper price, and we're taking a look at the comparables in the neighborhood that are recent, about 3 to 6 months out, and not looking at the prices homes sold further out, because the interest rates and the overall market was much different then. There are still multiple offers on properties. For example, I closed on a property just a couple days ago, and that had 8 offers on it. But there are some properties that are staying on market longer. So it really just depends. And my advice to buyers, the buyers that we've been working with, Mike, and to prep for purchasing their home, is just to have patience and get prepared financially, so that when a home that you love does come on the market, you're not lagging. You're not working through that process of getting pre-qualified. I really recommend to get pre-approved. And if you're working with Mike here, he really can get you set up for getting prepared to make that offer, and shrink up those timelines if possible. And you can do that with a pre-approval, not so much with a pre-qualification, because it might take a little bit longer, or if you're just starting. So I think springtime is just around the the first day of spring. Did we have?
No, yeah, March 21st.
March 21st, yeah. So
Easter's right around the corner.
That's right. And with the weather coming out, I think there's going to be some more inventory, some more homes available. So if you are a buyer, get prepared, because I'd hate to have you, miss out on the home that you really love. Maybe you're looking for, a little farmhouse with some acreage. Maybe you're looking for a little condo by the beach. Whatever you're looking for, make sure that you're prepared for that, and that you're not going to miss out to somebody who is more prepared than you. So there are lots of strategies to get those buyer or those seller credits, pay down loan or pay down seller costs, and there are ways to negotiate the purchase price. But you really have to come in strong in the terms and other aspects. So that's all something we work through with our clients. But that's a quick little update on our end. I anticipate more inventory coming here in the next month or so, but I don't think we're going to go into any kind of major buyer's market, just because of this area being such a high demand area and relatively low inventory. So that's what I got for us, Mike.
Excellent. All right. Well, I think that wraps it up, wouldn't you say?
That wraps it up.